bad voice, though, Rachel Reeves, has she?
You like
Jessie J, yeah, I do, singing. It's not about the money, money, money there, but it's all about the money this morning. Spring budget was released in the House of Commons yesterday. Here to tell us all about it, Times Radio business presenter Dominic O'Connell. Dominic, good morning.
Good morning, Dominic.
Now, where do I start here, Dominic? I think you're best to explain.
Well, basically what Rachel Reeves had to do yesterday was hold the line. It was a holding operation, really, for some worse news that might come later in the year. So she did this thing called the Spring Statement, which was a response to the Spring Forecast. It's basically a verdict on the nation's finances by the Office for Budget Responsibility, which is a sort of standalone government department. 180 pages long, 180 pages of unremitting gloom about the state of the UK economy. Got a lot of debt. We've got inflation is rising this year, might get to 4%, 3.7%, the OBR said. Got a productivity problem, and basically we can't seem to grow at all. So Rachel Reeves has got to find some way to get us out of that, but also meet her own targets on not spending too much. And that's really what she did yesterday. She announced some spending cuts to the government, which allowed her to meet her original targets on spending. So it's just not a very good outlook, and she's doing the best she can at the minute to hold things together. But I think it's quite likely she'll be back in November with some more tax rises.
Do you think she's going to last? Because there was a few weeks ago talk of this is just a car crash.
Well, I think there's going to be a bit of a backbench rebellion from Labour MPs who don't like the benefit cuts. So a lot of them and we're going to have some of them on Times Radio this morning actually talking about this. But I think she's pretty secure at the minute. They had a big election when it'd be pretty, weird to be chucking out your Chancellor, who's a good number 2 in the government and number 2 in the party, really, this soon. If it goes badly wrong later in the year, though, just watch this space, but not at the moment, no.
So I think we're talking, pensions, triple lock, farmers. Has that gone away yet, the tax on the farmers?
No, and everybody forgets it's not just the inheritance tax on the farmers. The same inheritance tax applies to family-owned businesses. In the past, if you owned a business, your family owned a business, you could pass it on to your sons or daughters with pretty generous inheritance tax treatment. They've now got the same treatment as the farmers. So lots of family-owned businesses looking around saying, well, what are we going to do? It's quite an issue.
But a lot of people will feel, won't they? A lot of people will feel in, 3.5, 4 years that Labour won't be in, so it could all change again.
Possibly, but she did inherit some pretty persistent problems. If you've got your debt is the same size as your entire economy, 100% of GDP, you don't have much room to manoeuvre. So whoever won that election last year was going to be in a tight spot.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any positivity?
It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to find any. I mean, there is, the UK economy will get better. The OBR thinks so. This year, so it said it was going to grow by 2% this year. They cut that to 1% yesterday for their forecast, which is in line with what everyone else thinks. They think it'll grow a bit quicker in the following years, about 1.8, 1.9%, 26, 27, 28, 29. So a bit better maybe in those years, but most economists don't think they're right. They think they're being a bit optimistic. So there's a little bit of good news. There was a tiny sliver of good news yesterday, and that inflation wasn't the January inflation number wasn't as bad as most people thought it was going to be. So there's you can find it. Also, the other thing, don't be too gloomy about the UK economy. People have always been gloomy about the UK economy, and something always comes along. The UK is a pretty good, robust place. Lots of great universities, good financial services, lots of good things happening in the UK. Don't be too negative.
But a lot of universities are they not closing, some of them?
Well, some of them are because of their reliance on foreign students, and foreign students and and sometimes looking elsewhere. So that's a bit tricky. They expanded a lot in the last 10 years to cope with these foreign students, and when the foreign students don't turn up, they've got all these buildings standing empty. So that's a bit of a problem.
Don't get me wrong, there's some great grammar schools and proper schools out there as well. I'm not just talking about universities, but I did read it and I'm thinking, oh crikey, where is this growth going to come from in terms of industry? How are they going to grow? How are they going to employ more people?
Well, and the other mystery actually that is about the UK economy is why can't it grow? Up until about 2007, the financial crisis, the UK used to grow about 2% a year pretty regularly. That's gone. and no one really seems to understand quite why.
Because we were doing okay against the rest of Europe, weren't we?
Yeah, and the other part of this is productivity, getting more out of what the inputs into the economy are.
So we decide to work from home.
Well, our productivity's gone backwards, and again, nobody quite seems to understand why. Is it because we're not measuring the right things? Is there something wrong with the statistics? There's lots of economists scratching their heads as to what's gone wrong under the hood of the UK economy, and they don't really have great answers.
So she's now got a little bit of time to when will be the next big statement?
So the budget will be in November. She said no tax rises before that. She wants one fiscal event, what they call a fiscal event, one tax event a year. She'll do everything she can not to increase taxes again, but she's really at the mercy of international stuff, like overnight Donald Trump saying tariffs on all imported cars into the US. That's $6 billion of exports here from the UK to the US in terms of cars. You think about all those rap stars and Hollywood stars, they love their Land Rovers, they love their Range Rovers, I should say. I think they're Land Rovers. They're now going to pay. They're going to be 25% more expensive in the US. So these things kind of come along and knock the UK economy around.
Remember once I was out in Australia, it was the same. Any imported cars you paid fortunes for.
Well, the Australians, I know that having grown up in New Zealand, wanted to protect their local makers, Holden and Ford. So they did put big. They did put. Well, they're all gone now. All those car plants that you probably knew about are all closed.
The one that stood out for me was when they put up the national insurance for employees. The companies have got to pay it now. We've seen an effect of that on companies and people losing their jobs.
Companies are saying that, so Rachel Reeves likes to talk big about growth and run up to the election, said we're all about growth, business friendly, talked about it at the budget as well, all about growth, business friendly, and then does all these things like national insurance going up just for what the employers pay, and also bringing down the threshold at which you pay it. So if you have a low paid employee, you didn't have to pay it in the past, now you do. And employers now are talking about laying people off. So actually talking about growth with one hand and doing something different with the other hand.
We don't have to look too far away from here, do we? Because this is a massive organisation that we work for. Can you imagine how much it costs us with national insurance?
But I know so many people that work in different companies, and they work like a lot in London, in the city. So many people. Okay, we don't need that person. You do two jobs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Extra work for one person, get rid of a person.
Two jobs. Or have you noticed an awful lot of retail outlets now, they're getting rid of the people who actually serve you? I mean, I know it's happened a lot in supermarkets, but in all kinds of fast food outlets now, the people who serve you are gone, replaced by a kiosk.
Do you know what?
That's part of it.
Yeah. Dominic, that drives me mad. Not just on the phone, press 1, press 2, you phone a doctor, press 2, now press 4. Honestly. And then you go to the petrol pump sometimes and it's, hold on, it's not working. No, you got to go in and pay first. And, they're just getting rid of everyone. It's wrong for me. It's wrong.
Totally agree. You have people that have worked at companies for 15, 20 years. Okay, we don't need you now. Got someone else in who can do three people's jobs, can do extra work, and then you lose your job. Harder to get out there and get a job. To have a big effect, won't it, on the country?
And I'll say again, Dominic, around here and big cities, not just London, big cities, all the little sandwich shops, all the little cafes that they were encouraged to buy your own business, work for yourself. They're all going. They're all closing now because people work from home.
It is pretty hard. The other thing that's up Labour's sleeve is the new workers' rights package, which gives new joiners in particular lots more rights in terms of unfair dismissal. All kinds of things are included in that, and employers are quite worried about that as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff, not just that national insurance,
Gabby,
which is coming down the track.
Don't look at me like that, Gabby. We don't have any workers' rights here. Dominic, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dominic O'Connell there with some very interesting facts. Rachel Reeves, Times radio business presenter there, Dominic. Thank you. Some breaking news for you. Emma Raducanu's great run in the Miami Open. What a run after sacking the coach. Has come to an end. She loses 2-1 in the quarterfinal to Jessica Pegula. But hopefully she can carry the good form into the rest of the year. The Grand Slams. We've been talking a lot here on talkSPORT about the cost of football as well. We want to know your thoughts on Simon Jordan. His view that owners are well within their rights to keep ticket prices in line with inflation. Here's Simon.
If indeed the football clubs push it to a point, and it's all very subjective as to what that point is, the challenge is when you've got 99% occupancy in all Premier League grounds around the country year on year, and when you're coming back from 2 years ago, a post-COVID situation where all the clubs lost tens of millions of pounds, and with due respect to all these supporters, and there were a few football clubs that actually kept their season ticket revenue, and didn't ask for it back from the football club.
Okay,
So they wanted to support their clubs.
I get that.
Who bankrolled their football club? The fans. No, they didn't.
There you go, Simon Jordan. My problem with Premiership football now, Gab, is the youngsters. If you want to bring your kids to games, it's fortunes.
It's expensive, mate.
It's fortunes. And don't get me wrong, at school, maybe little Johnny's mate goes, my dad takes me. Yeah. So he goes home and said, Johnny goes, why can't I go? It's pressure on parents.
But you know what else is a problem as well? I was talking about at the start of the season. Why have you got a large family? Why have you got 4 kids?
Yeah,
and you want to go, and that's 5 of yours, and it's £70-80 a ticket. By the time you've had your travel, you've had some food at the stadium and a drink. You know, kids are like,
quid.
I'm hungry, I want a drink. Yeah. You're talking like probably 500 quid tops. Yeah. And you're like, I can't afford that every week. Impossible.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.